guys, my name is Shashwat and I'm a legal intern at LEXIS and Company. In this video I'm going to talk about the separation of powers and its relevance. The concept of separation of powers is a rudimentary element for the governance of a democratic government. The principle coordinates fairness, impartiality and uprightness in the working of government. Although it is not followed in the strict sense yet, most of the democratic countries have adopted a dilute version under their respective constitution. The concept of separation of powers refers to a system of government in which powers are divided among the multiple branches of the government, each branch controlling different facets of the government. In most of the democratic countries, it is accepted that three branches are, that is, legislature, executive and judiciary, are allowed and acceptable very easily. According to this theory, the powers and functions of these branches must be distinct and separated within a free democracy. These organs work and perform their functions independently without the interference of one into another in order to have any kind of conflict. It means that the executive cannot exercise legislature and judicial powers. The legislature cannot exercise the other executive powers, and judiciary cannot exercise legislature and executive powers. So then there comes the objectives of separation of powers. Firstly, it aims to eliminate arbitrariness, totalitarianism, tyranny, and promote an accountable and democratic form of government. And then secondly, it prevents the misuse of the powers within the different organs of the government. The Indian Constitution provides certain limits and boundaries for each domain of the government, and they are supposed to perform their functions within such limits. In India, the Constitution is the ultimate sovereign, and if anything goes beyond the provisions of the Constitution, it automatically be considered as null, void and unconstitutional. Thirdly, it keeps a check on all the branches of the government by making them accountable for leading the arbitrariness. Fourthly, any separation of power maintains a balance among the three organs of government by dividing the powers among them so that the powers do not concentrate on any one branch, leading to the arbitrariness. The elements of separation of powers are firstly legislature. Legislative organ of the government is also known as the rule-making body. The primary function of the legislature is to make laws for good governance of a state. It has the authority for amending the existing rules and regulations as well. Generally, the parliament holds the power of making the rules and the laws. The second element is the executive. The branch of government is responsible for governing the state. The executives mainly implement and enforce the laws by legislature, the president and the bureaucrats from executive branch of the government. And thirdly, judiciary, which plays a very crucial role in any state. It interprets and applies the laws made by the legislature and safeguards the rights of the individuals. It also revolves the disputes within the state government or internationally. Then there comes the provisions. With the provisions I will tell you in my next video. But separation of powers is very much said that is a barrier to administrative law. So I'm going to tell you why and how. So administrative law is a branch of public law. The principle of the separation of powers creates a democratic among the three organs of the government. But in the present scenario, administrative law is identical to this principle. With the emerging pattern of globalization independence, the administrative agencies are not just exercising the administrative functions but also practices the quasi-legislative and the quasi-judicial powers, thus violating the principles of separation of powers. That is why separation of powers is called a barrier to administrative law. In conclusion, I would say that a doctrine of separation of law must be interpreted in relative form. In the era of liberalization, privatization and globalization, separation of powers has to be expounded in the wider perspective. It should not be curved to the principle of restraint or strict classification only, but a group power exercised in the spirit of cooperation, coordination and in the interest of the welfare of the state. Thank you.